Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel, Hazel Anaka Design. This is going to be a short video, but I wanted to prove a point that you can begin with identical bases. And you're going to say, well, those aren't identical. But they did come off the same, excuse me, the same beautiful box that housed scented drawer liners. And you've seen me work with this particular box before because I have found it more than once in thrift stores. So the box that in question that these pieces came from was a little more beat up than usual, but I did my best to salvage as many of the panels. And you know, drawer liner boxes are typically, 16 or 18 inches long. So I saved as many of these as I could. Now, depending on which side of the box it was on, it either has this darker, pink coral design or this sort of, off-white. So at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the 6 others that I've already done because, can't do this all in one video. But I left one of each of these to work on with you. So what I had assembled for the others was a pile of lace, salvaged bits of doilies. Here's another piece. This was, now what was this? It was probably a binding around, I don't know. I've had it obviously for a long time because I can't remember how and where I got it from. But you know that if you take apart doilies or remove stitching, quite often there is a usable 3 miles of some sort of thing that held it all together, that protected the stitching. So I've already used some pieces, but I have this at the ready. So even though there is a size difference, we're not going to worry about that. So I will tackle this one first because I have more things put aside for it. Now, you won't know this, of course, because you can't see the full extent of my desk. But I have had, okay, maybe you can recognize these sorts of trims. Well, that one's hard to see, white on white. This is, these are essentially long strips that come either in packages of their own or as part of a scrapbooking kit of some sort. And this, I'm not sure where I got that from. It's just looks like it's a border off a digital or something. Anyway, these things are kind of annoying because of their unwieldy shape. Now, I do have a drawer in my, one of those Michaels plastic thingamajigs. I do have a drawer just called strips. So in there I have all kinds of long things that don't fit anywhere else. But you can see that these have been cut down. And I've had them, a bunch of them, in a paper clip on my desk, kicking around for the longest time. And I thought, come hell or high water, I am going to use them up. Whoops, not that one. So I basically divided up. I was making little piles and sort of trying to spread out the resources. So basically, what I did, now a glue book or something to glue on would be hunky-dory. Whoopsie. I've got some stuff piled up here beside me for the next video. Okay, we'll just use this kind of glossy book page. So basically, what I have been doing with these trims is taking them off. Oh, I'm going to need my little pokey thing. And you know, sometimes the little thing that gives it the detail is the very thing that doesn't want to come off when you peel it off its backing. Like these. I've kind of also learned poke it from the backside, and then you don't spend as much time picking these things off the sticky surface. Okay, so typically what I do, oh, that's stuck there now. I probably went for that piece a little too soon. In my in my travels, I found this very lovely piece of, I think it's called mull, M-U-L-L, that obviously came off a wide book spine. So because it adds a textural element, now I need my little scissors, kind of just raggedy tear it. Maybe I want that globby part off there. Sorry if the light isn't as good as usual, but I realized that I forgot to put the batteries for my two flashlights on the charger. So I thought, well, I'll take a chance. It's still, you know, early enough in the day that there should be enough natural light in the room so that you're not totally in the dark. Okay. So what I'm going to do, now we know that it's almost impossible to glue stuff like this down, but I'm just going to apply glue to this surface, press it down, knowing that some of the items that come after it will help to, let's maybe stretch it and have it a little asymmetrical. Maybe I should use this instead. Oh, I plunged right into the video instead of properly greeting you. I hope that you are well. I'm so glad that you're here. This is a Thursday in what is getting to be late January that I'm doing this, and I can't believe that we're almost a 12th of the way through the year already. Like, I know time speeds up the older you get, but really, this is crazy. So, now you can't obviously see the other ones I've done because I'm holding them in abeyance until I'm going to put some art glitter glue until the end of the video. I'm just, no, sometimes, you know, the older these things get, the poorer their adhesion. But typically I always just play it safe. Now I shouldn't have gone all the way to the edge because it's going to stand, but forgot. Maybe I will glue it to this just to make things a bit easier to handle. Now I better add some glue to that. I'm using art glitter glue, number one, because of the nozzle. If I were to drag this open lacy thing across the top of my glue stick, of course glue would be forced out through every little hole and we'd have a big mess on our hands. So I'm just going to sort of offset this a bit, you know, and if you've often wondered, well, why do people even do these little mini collages when half the things get covered up in the end? Well, good question. We are not quite sure of the answer. This seems a bit white. Maybe I could cut a chunk of this off. And I've also decided that, you know, like this is beautiful. And it could make some nice deep pockets on a journal. But honestly, what am I saving this stuff for? So let's just cut a kind of a jaggedy bit of that because the colors go better. Now I typically don't like the but that's good. It's finished on both ends. I was going to say I typically don't like a straight cut. Now the same thing is sort of true that I was just saying about the open lacy paper thing, is that on something like this, quite often you're better off putting the glue on the thing you're, the substrate, as opposed to on the thing you're adding. But it's done. And again, we know that that glue will dry clear and harden a bit, so that's good. Now I had also, these little things stick to everything. I'd also made just kind of, you know, a lopsided bow, like uneven tails, because I wanted to use this up as well. Now I haven't put any glue at this knot, but that might, whoops, that might be a good idea. Just to tuck a bit of, can you see? Just a little dab on the bow, on the knot, so that it is less likely to move. Now I think all I'm going to do to this one is glue this down, probably offset over that lace that I've just added. I'm thinking art glitter glue might be the better choice here. Should get rid of some of this garbage. Yeah, those things are stuck permanently now. It's funny, I forgot that I intended to do this video today, because I had just finished the other 6 last night. And then I got off on a tangent, as quite often happens in the studio, and you know, did the squirrel thing for a little bit of time, and then got back on track because I do have plans to do another video right after this one. That's typically how I like to work. Do, you know, couple or 3 videos per day, schedule them out so that if I want to play hooky or if life gets in the way, I can do so without feeling guilty. Now I just wonder, maybe I should put a little more there because that's only one point of contact. So maybe I'll glue that down, the bottom half of that loop and the bottom half of this loop. I want the rest of it to be sort of unattached so that it can, you know, so there's some movement and a more natural look to it. And because it's got some built-in creases, it's like, oh, the woman's a genius. Look how lovely that looks. Now, I honestly didn't think ahead. Is there anything within reach to, oh, what if this needs a focal point? Or does this need a real focal point? Oh, well, wrong pink. I did use one of these flowers on one of the other ones I'm going to show you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just rifling through. Is that going to be too grungy looking? I guess I could add that just for a little more detail, a little more texture. This obviously also came off a book spine. And if you aren't saving and using these things, I think you are missing out, to be honest. So kind of just tuck that under the bow there. And we'll set this little guy aside to, oh, I don't like that sharp corner there. rip that off. Set this guy aside to dry a little bit more, and we'll tackle that last one. Okay, so this is the darker pink. I've been, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole with you, but I have been having warning messages on my MacBook laptop that I was running out of storage space. And if you know anything about computers, you know that, or laptops, you know that you cannot add more storage to a laptop. So I have been examining all my, well, everything on my laptop in an effort to get rid of things that I no longer use, don't remember why I had them in the first place, and so on. This corner is kind of bent, so maybe I'll just, I didn't round any other corners, but maybe on this one I will, because I did promise that there would be 8 different varieties. So I saw that I had a PDF document, must have been a freebie of some sort, from Uppercase Magazine. So when I opened it up, I saw that there was 2 background papers and some creative prompts. So printed the prompts, printed the background papers, thought, oh, these pinks work. And kind of that's why I've got that particular thing. And then I deleted it. I am gobsmacked at how much space things take, in particular, of course, photos and videos. But think about all those digitals. Now this pink is a wee bit, I don't want to say offensive because there's nothing offensive about it, but it sort of offends my sensibilities here with these colors. But I said I'm going to use it up, so I'm going to use it up. I'll just reshape this a bit so it's not like a cut edge. That one looks all right. Again, of course, the little things all need to be poked out. So yeah, I think, well, later today I'll be calling. I think I need to take my laptop in to a guy. I know a guy. Well, I hope to know a guy who will actually look at what I've got, tell me what I can safely delete. Because honestly, when I first, of course, anything that I know about computers, I had to learn the hard way because of the fact that I didn't grow up with them like today's young people, kids are. So I used to be so afraid that if I did the wrong thing, you know, I'd wreck the machine or lose something valuable or whatever. I'm no longer so afraid of that because I've done things 100 times. I've gotten permission, you know, like from Apple Care, whatever, and they say, oh yes, it's safe to do that. Let's get those little stray guys off because, of course, sometimes they just want to cling. But, you know, and even with when these tech people do screen sharing with you, and you know, it's just kind of a free thing over the phone. There's a limit to how much. So I'm gonna, you know, buckle up and pay the hourly rate, whatever that will be, to have a guy actually look at my stuff and the external hard drives I've been using and so on and so on. So presumably I will be in a happier place. Oh, I shouldn't have put glue all the way to the end again. Yikes. In a happier place both in terms of my frame of mind and my storage. Because right now I'm reluctant to work on any digitals or do any additional scanning, because what if I don't have the space to put it, to keep it? So there's hardly time to do anything once, never mind twice, because it didn't work. Oh, was I intending to? I was probably going to use this too, so maybe I should. Okay, what am I doing? What am I doing? Maybe this guy was supposed to be on the other piece. Let's leave that. I'll go and I'll add that on to the first piece I worked on. So yeah, I have lost track, honestly, of the number of days and hours I have spent doing this computer stuff, worrying about this computer stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting back to, just normal worries. I should say that I'm a recovering worrier. I spent most of my life worrying about things that never happened, were unlikely to ever happen, things that were out of my control. And that is a tremendous waste of time and energy and happiness and so on. And if you find yourself ruminating, because that is the word, ruminating, there is help. Okay, now, if these are not the cutest things you've ever seen, well, I just don't know where you're looking. Now, this, of course, this is all going to be a bit out of order, but I do want to show you something that I showed in a thrift haul video that you haven't seen yet. Is this lovely? I'm getting it. This lovely Royal Doulton book from 1967. And you can see that I got my hot little hands on it. But look at these images. And of course, I had to make some choices. Do I take these four, or do I take that big girl? Don't know yet. There are even these guys that I've never seen, obviously in real life. Some animals. So I started doing this last night, and basically, did this sort of thing, where I made some decisions and I got rid of some of the excess paper. And look at what I accomplished. And this, I have to say, this is some of the, and of course I will, like on this one, I will go in there and get that little white spot out. This was some of the most satisfying fussy cutting I have ever done, because of course these are old, these are photos or sketches of old Royal Doulton figures. So it can't be particularly detailed or whatever, because it was going to be made out of, well, I guess porcelain. So, they couldn't make it with all sorts of frilly-dilly stuff that could easily get damaged and broken in the normal household. But you can see that there are all kinds of sizes. Maybe this gal here is the biggest so far that I have. So I thought, well, okay, I did all that work. Why don't I look through it and see if there were a couple of small pink girls that could end up being my focal point. And, there are a couple of options. Now, she probably just is a little too pale and blends in, so I'm more inclined to use this one. Now, because those little two whites, well, in the time it'll take me to explain. Ow! I just poked myself with something. In the time, oh, that's not very much padding. The time it will take to explain what I want to do, or why I won't do what I thought I should do, I could just quickly do those two little cuts. And I hope I'm not cutting up my little man, that's so small. Hi. Anyway, I was tickled pink to find that book. And the thing is, I had just been at that. It was at Restore. I'd just been there like less than a week earlier before our junk journal meeting. It wasn't there then. It's almost like it was meant to be. What the heck is that? Got something stuck to my nail. So it seems fortuitous that I was there. Okay. So she's going to be positioned there. Maybe I'll get her to cover most of the hot pink that I don't like there. And maybe at some future point, I will find something to add to it to finish it off. So again, I'm just going to, oh, did I already try to glue that down? Obviously it wasn't holding very well. Probably didn't slather on enough glue. So now these things, I haven't even told you the size. Okay, so the finished size will be 3.5 by 2 3/4 or so. So keeping things relatively flat was part of the aim here. Oh, I should use this glue, I guess. Anyway, I get this glued down. We'll add that narrow little border I just found. And you will see that most of them, I would say, are ready to go. Most of the others that I did. Now, of course, that I always reserve the right to... That's not sticking worth a darn there. That's the problem when you're gluing stuff on over lace. So I'll just add a little reinforcement here. A little insurance. Well, we still have resistance. Maybe while I am getting rid of these little dots and pulling the others in closer, I should put this under my sad iron. Oh, there's no escaping that now. Okay, let's add my other little girl back to her friends. Yep, if those things stuck half as well to paper as they do to fingers, tools, and work surfaces, we'd be in business, baby. Okay. I guess I can get rid of, oops, I was going to add this. Yep. Going to have to, whoops, put it maybe a little further over than I intended because it's an afterthought. That's nice. It's a repetition of those other dots. Okay. I just poked myself. Let me show you the others. Okay, I will just say, in this case, I had these little, of course, they're too tiny for, they must just be for chocolates or something, or candies. So I used one of these and tore it in half. So I had this fan-like appearance appearing in two places. That was also a border. That is a fabric, a clothing tag. You saw this one in its entirety. Then I had this one. You can see I had quite a bit of that polka dotted border. And I used another clothing tag there, other kind of border, a piece of frayed linen or something that was kicking around, and just kept layering it till everything was gone. This one is quite different. Again, I used that same uppercase digital. Looks like we could use a little, I just used glue stick on this. Clearly I could use a little reinforcement here. Again, use that hot pink, no, it was a different version of that hot pink border. Used more of this white fabric that had the long frayed edges. And then it looked a little bit too regular, so I glued down those sequins. I did, for about a nanosecond, consider sewing them on, and I thought, no, I don't need to do that. I should sort these by the colors of the background too, so there will be 4 of each. I really like this one, I think probably because of this top piece. This was some old lace, or not lace, but it would have been like a tablecloth or a placemat or something that has gotten that color just because I had used it in avocado dyeing. Like that border, there's another one there. So that one I think turned out really well. This one is also nice. It's probably, well, okay, how long are these now? These are about 4 1/4, and they're only about 2.5 inches wide. So they could look really nice on a page. This was a bit of this, which you can see has these motifs. And you can see that because I hadn't ironed this after I washed it, everything is kind of, bumpy and lumpy. And that is good because it adds some dimension and some interest there, as opposed to, it wouldn't have been quite as nice if it was flat to the page. I used at least 2 different types of lace. Again, a strip of that digital, just some border paper. This was you can't really tell anymore because it's underneath there, but this was about 1.25 inch piece of variegated ombre ribbon. This flower, I cut it off this thing that I had gotten in a swap package. So I thought, well, this was hard to use by itself because of the colors and wasn't quite long enough, or it was too long. So I just used the pink there for that touch of a little padded fabric. Used 2 sections of that doily, and then thought I need something more there to bring it all home. So that is how that was. I also like this one. This was just a piece of scrapbook paper strippy thing that I had used. Now, that fold there, I had folded it, was probably off a signature page or something. So that's pretty visible. I had used, I don't know, maybe I used it all up. Use this bit of crochet and a chunk of this wide lace to cover the whole card initially. And again, a couple of those little scalloped border, narrow border edging. Now, I don't care for that. So I will, you know, this one might need something. Although having it so linear is not a bad thing either. Mind you, maybe I could do something with this. Let's just see. This usually makes a mess and is so crumbly. What would happen? Now that is introducing kind of a darker color there. Nope. I'm not even sure that I like that. I think what I'll do, sorry, I thought I was done. I'll just sort of jaggedy cut this diagonally. Maybe add a drop or two of art glitter glue, and that way it will feel like, oh, I do have to come up with something as a focal point, but it just isn't going to happen in this video. And then we'll get that, we'll retrieve that little girl from under the iron. And call it a video. So I think I said, or maybe I should, if I didn't, I intended to say that quite often, if I'm doing something like this, which I would basically consider a mass make, I would be looking to have repeating elements and having cohesion between all of the pieces, so that if they're used in the same project, it looks like, you know, there was a plan. But in this case, I wanted to prove that each one could stand on its own. Each one could have its own character and style and so on. I think if anything, I feel like this one maybe needs to have, of course I can't get in there with a corner rounder now. Just feels like maybe I need to soften those a bit. I don't know if that improved anything in anyone's eyes except mine. I would like you in the video, in the comments, to tell me if you had a particular favorite. I'm pretty pleased with how these turned out, and I hope that this has, you know, maybe given you a new perspective on looking at your, can you tell that I ate some frozen blueberries just before the video? I hope that this shows you that it is possible to make things cohesive, but it's also possible to make them unique depending on your needs, maybe depending on how much of a particular supply you have. I don't know. Now I feel like all of them should have a, I'm sort of doing a Rachel Roxy Creations thing here. She never uses a corner rounder. She just sort of cuts a teeny tiny bit off. Watch me cut that part off. And I think it just Does seem to make a difference. Now, on some of these where the corners are not visible, I'm going to leave well enough alone. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you. If you haven't already done so, I would humbly ask that you subscribe, that you let me know that you're alive and well. And one way to do that is to comment, ask a question, make an observation, interact with other people making comments, and of course, easiest of all is a thumbs up. So thanks, guys. I loved having you here today. Bye-bye.